So after the 1998 Tour de France, group got together and formed WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency. And this changed everything. I mean, literally changed everything. WADA was founded a year later. It was originally headquartered in Lucerne, Switzerland. Now it's headquartered in Montreal. It's independent. It's an independent foundation, not connected with any government. It might receive funds from various governments to maintain its activities. But I mentioned before about Italy. It said, we don't like some of WADA's rules. WADA said, okay, you don't like the rules. We won't have the Olympics in your country. That's how powerful WADA has become. And you can see some of their activities. Very importantly, WADA standardizes the rules and regulations across all sports. All sporting federations have to agree to abide by their rules, or they don't exist. Testing is all done under the supervision of WADA. Testing for elite athletes. Again, this does not concern professional sports, at least professional sports that we know in this country, because of labor union contracts. There are, I forget, I count maybe something like 30 laboratories. Notice most of the labs where they do testing are concentrated in Europe, but you have labs on every continent except, of course, Antarctica. But these are the labs that are WADA accredited, and they have very high standards. In fact, their standards are tested sometimes by sending them samples along with samples from a number of athletes. They might spike, put in, what's the word, ringer? Is that the term I use? Well, they will provide a spiked sample, not of an athlete's urine, but just to see if they can find it. And they are constantly being tested that way. So, obviously, a big change in a very short period of time. The U.S. has an anti-doping agency, which is funded by the federal government and the IOC. There are several sporting federations which support this because they agree with the aims of the USADA. If you want to go to their websites, maybe you can, let's just try it, okay? Does this work? We'll go to WADA's website. Okay? You notice WADA's list of prohibited substances and methods. If you want to find out what's prohibited at all times, it tells you. Anabolic agents, peptide hormones, beta-2 agonists. What's prohibited in competition? Tell you that. Very simple. They're long lists, very involved, but very easy to find what you can do and what you can't do. And the same thing with the USOC, NCAA, other sporting organizations have similar websites that you can go to find out what's allowed and what's not. Now, how do I get back? Okay. What's the other one I give you there? It's NCAA on the bottom. Professional sports, as I said, it's a different story because you have labor management contracts and they have to negotiate these. And over the years, the the system has been refined. Until rather recently, I'd say within the last 15 years or so, Major League Baseball had nothing more than a slap on the wrist. And then they instituted, I believe it was a 10-game suspension. And I remember John McCain getting up in the Senate and saying, 10-game suspension for the use of steroids? And you know what, I mean, that's what he says. But you know what baseball hears? Antitrust. And the owners got together with the commissioner, said, we have to negotiate with the players' union a tougher penalty, and now it's 50 games. Didn't satisfy all of Congress, but now it's 50 games. That's what Braun got, a 50-game suspension. Now has been reinstated. Second offense, 100 games, and third offense, you're gone forever. NFL still has a 4-game suspension. The NBA, which, by the way, you don't hear much about drug problems in the NBA. I'm not sure why that is, but you don't hear much about it. There have been some isolated instances in the past, but nothing like Major League Baseball. The NBA actually has a 10-game suspension. It had been a 5-game, as shown there, for the first offense. Now it's 10 games, and I'm not sure what it is for a second. Couldn't find that on Wikipedia. But anyway, professional organizations, Major League Soccer has its own, the NHL has its own.